Good morning. And we want to welcome you once again to our Wednesday morning class here at HeartLight Spiritual Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. We want to welcome you that are here, and thank you for coming. And we want to also welcome you that might be joining us online, live, and also later if you download us later. I'm going to encourage you that are online to share with some of your friends and people you kind of feel is open about this class, and maybe they would like to join us and we can build it a little stronger. So appreciate your help, and you that are here too. You know, as you connect with people and know people, share with them about HeartLight. And then you don't worry about it and you let Spirit do its job. And if the Spirit is to bring them, they'll be drawn. If it's not their time, it won't be. But we do need to at least share. I know we don't go out on the old idea of recruiting people like many religions do, but we do want to make it available to them. And that is what each one of us should be doing. We should be sharing. And now that you're learning how to share from the heart, you're going to be sharing with greater wisdom with people. A lot of people who just share from their head and start throwing out a bunch of scriptures and dogma and doctrine can be offensive to a lot of people because they think you're trying to manipulate them or control them. But if you just share the wisdom of your heart with people and do it with this sensitivity to wisdom, what you want to do is you want to touch that something in them that's trying to wake up. Because there's people out there that don't know what's happening to them. They don't even know how to verbalize it. They don't know how to tell anybody, but they're feeling shifts that are going on in them and things that are coming to mind and feelings they've never had before. And people are beginning to realize that they are a part of a new direction for humanity, and they don't know what that means. And people don't know how to go through the death versus the birth of the new thing that's coming in and that which is dying out. And that's where we need what I call a collective ministry. And I've said that to HeartLight, that I would like to get all of us to a place that we can share with people and not just look at as your one minister as the ministry of the community, but that you are with me, not under me. That makes sense to you? I'm not looking for people to be under me. I'm looking for those to be with me. So we can be here, HeartLight, a completely collective ministry. And that was my reasons for trying to do the metaphysical Bible classes, because you are, whether you want to or not, you're going to have to learn some of that language that people have learned through Christianity. And that's a lot of Bible and scriptures. And again, I encourage you to be able to deal with these subjects with great wisdom, like when they come onto you about sin and hell and all of those doctrines and dogmas that we see differently here metaphysically. Can you share that with them? So this 6 weeks has given us a way that we can come to people from a different place of the heart and being coherent with the brain too. Bring the both together can be very powerful to all of us. This is week 6, which is actually the end of the 6-week classes that we were going to do based upon Heart Math and the Heart Math Institute and some of theirs. And a lot of theirs, as you see, is very good, but it's very basic. It's very basic. It's teaching you basically different techniques through breath that you can use, and the reason behind that can be a tool that you can use anywhere, any place, anytime. And that's what I like about it. You don't have to come and be here in a service on a Sunday, but you can use it if you're in the line at the bank or the grocery store or out in traffic. I mean, there's always things in this world that can aggravate you and that can put you in that direction. But now you have a different choice, and you can do these exercises that we're going to go through again today so that you can have greater resilience. That means coming back to your true self faster. To me, that's what it means. Coming back to who I truly am a lot faster and not get lost in the ego's world where there's fear and angry and aggravation and all that kind of things like that. So this should give us a better quality of who we are and how we show up in life if we're going to apply these lessons. All right, let's look at what we've kind of done, and we've learned things about the heart and brain connection. We actually started with some of the even scriptures about how God created man in his own image, and in the image of God created he him, male and female created them. So there is a feminine and there is a masculine aspect of creation, and it's not just shown up in by gender identity of the body at all, but we must find it in ourselves. You know, this is why I think a lot of marriages and relationships have not always worked out, and even if they do work out, most people stay in them and are miserable if they stay in things they shouldn't be in or whatever. And I think a lot of that has come from the fact that we have projected in the ego's world that all feminine is the woman and all masculine is the male. And because we've not been able to balance that out in each one of ourselves, we're actually only dealing with 50% of who we are if we see someone as all man, all woman, all male, all female. So male and female is not about the body, it's about energy. It's about wisdom and knowledge. Wisdom and knowledge. You got that? Wisdom and knowledge. And unfortunately, due to whatever fear, however deep it goes, that men have over the feminine and the woman, that we've been, you know, in these last many, many thousands of years with male dominance over the female, which is where the Bible starts. It starts with dominion over the earth. Think about it. Earth is mother, dominion over the earth, and then men over women. And we know through research that how men treat women is pretty much how men treats earth. So we go and rape our forests, and we rape our Amazon forest and all the things that is actually giving us life and giving us a quality of life like that, then we project that on bodies, because that's what the ego does to prove its agenda, is to use bodies because bodies are so different. And you can say from a physiological level, I'm not you and you're not me. 99.9% of the time. I mean, there's identical twins, but still, sometimes there's things I'm sure that's different in that way too. So we learned about that, and then we learned to take that inside metaphysically and to make the image of the male or the man the brain, and the female is called wisdom or Sophia. Sophia is the mother of wisdom that lies in the heart. So this is why you don't want to get too much into too much knowledge, which the ego really loves. It says, okay, if you're going to read about spiritual things, just keep reading. Just keep reading. Don't ever stop and digest anything. Don't contemplate anything you're reading. Don't break it down until it awakens aspects of yourself that has gone asleep. And we just keep piling on knowledge. And if we don't couple that with the wisdom to use the knowledge, right, then knowledge by itself is a house built upon sinking sand, right? But if we build upon wisdom, we build upon the solid rock of truth. So we're all building in one way and another. Either we're building a habitation or house for our ego, or we're building a house for our spiritual self to dwell in. So all of this was to bring us together. The heart knows, the brain basically believes. And oftentimes that is not together. What my head knows and what my heart is knowing. The example of that for me, and I'm sure this is for all of you, you wouldn't probably be here, but it was sitting in the religions that we were raised in, if we were. Most of us have some background in some religion. And we sat there and we heard the dogma and the doctrine of that religion and sat there and knew that that was something we were not embracing. I did not embrace the God that my religion taught. If I would have, I'd have had to accept the fact that God did not love me. Because God does love sinners and certain things that are perceived as a sin that is in the Bible. So I realized if that's what God is, I'm sunk. So I knew that was not what God truly was in my heart. And thank God I chose that over this. Now I have friends that did not find this. And I have friends that we used to call it backslid. In other words, they denounced God and the church because they couldn't come up to the standards of that God and those doctrines. There was no place for them, whether it was by race, gender. Women did not find a true place in the church for centuries. Right? Then there was segregation based on the race, and you had gender, and then you had all the other things that kept separating people from each other because it was all being built upon some kind of knowledge of the doctrine, creeds of that religion. But those who have outgrown religion and what we call spirituality are those that have followed the path of the knowing. The Bible says there's two paths you're going to follow. One path is a path that seems right. Get that? It seems to be right, but the end of it is death. The other is the path of the just that shineth brighter and brighter unto a full and perfect day. So either you're on the path of based upon what you believe, but oftentimes it's not what you know. So that's an important thing I wanted to deal with on that before we get going here. Okay. Let's look at some of the things that we have basically learned. I wanted to start with a quote that I had a while ago, if I can find it. You've heard this before, but I really like it. It's by E.O. Wilson, 1929, American biologist. We are drowning in information while starving for wisdom. That's what I'm talking about. We're drowning in knowledge, books coming out. I mean, knowledge is everywhere. People are learning, but starving for the wisdom in how to break it down and use it in manifestation. The world henceforth will be run by synthesizers. People able to put together the right information at the right time, think critically about it, and make important choices wisely. That's a great quote. I don't think that's up there, but I'm going to read it to you again. We are drowning in information while starving for wisdom. The world henceforth will be run by synthesizers, which are people able to put together the right information, understanding with the wisdom of the heart. And when these two come together, they can produce. It still takes the male and the female principles to produce. So when you get the heart and the brain in coherence with each other and working with each other, and how that the brain can take thought and the heart can translate it into a feeling or an emotion. And when those two things come together, they conceive their children, which are what I call the children are the principles of the kingdom of God on earth. So it says, at a right time, think critically about it. Now we would say here, contemplate it. They're saying to think critically. I'm saying contemplate it. Contemplation is the connection between what's here and here. That's why if you read or hear something that's not in your head and the head rejects it and says, no, we're not going to believe that, it'll judge it right or wrong, good or bad. Oh, that was a good thing. No, that was not a good thing. But if you stop it before the judgment and contemplate it in neutral, how many times have I taught this? Hold it in neutral before you dare let the brain judge it as right or wrong, good or bad, and keep it in neutral long enough, which is really a good idea for locking it in. If you can lock it into neutral and hold that long enough, here's what will happen. The knowledge you read in the book, the knowledge you heard David say, or anybody else that you're listening to, or anything outside of yourself that's gathering knowledge to you, that isn't, now get this, that is not in synchronization with your innate intelligence. In other words, you bring in an intelligence. You don't learn it, you remember it. This is very important. You bring in an innate intelligence. And I guess the religious term for it is the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit says, I'm in you and I will lead you and guide you into all truth. That means if something's in you that can teach you all truth, in it is all truth. And if it's in you, you have all truth. Are you with me? Already. So everything is not, I don't have it, I need to get it out of a book. I don't have it, I need to get it out of here. That's fine, that's part of it. That's how the brain works. But if you let that happen by itself, you will be blinded to the wisdom of manifesting it. If you don't learn how to bring coherence between the two. So if I hold it in neutral, and that truth I just read or heard, if it's already in me, it will resonate until it comes out of me and I have the aha moment. And at that moment, the book, the speaker, the teacher is no longer the source of your information. It is self-knowledge. And there's nothing more powerful than self-knowledge, true self-knowledge, being made manifest in you. So the heart knows, the brain thinks it's smart, and the heart is wise. Okay. All right, today is another, I'll begin with this quote because I think he has it. The voyage of discovery is not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. That's very Course in Miracles. The Course in Miracles pretty much teaches that before you try to change things out here, you got to change it in here. Because what's in here is out there. In fact, what's out there is really in here. This is where it gets complicated. But most of you think you're seeing out there, but really you're seeing out there in here. You see it in your brain. The brain sees, The brain tastes, the brain smells, the brain does everything. You know, I remember this old teaching about we're a little spiritual person in here, and we look out through the eyes of the window of the soul. That's very poetic and lovely. But that's not the way the eyes, physical eyes, see. They see because of what's given into the brain through this part that we call the eye. It's just a tool that takes information into itself, which, by the way, takes it in upside down. Go ask any eye doctor. It's true, but all information out here comes in upside down and is made upright in the brain. You know, these are the mechanics of things. So the Course is correct when it says the ego has made a body with eyes not to see. I'll never see who you are with these physical eyes, because all these physical eyes are going to see you as a body, an external person. But when I open my eye of enlightenment, I can see past what these eyes see. And I can truly see you, meaning I understand you. Seeing is understanding. When somebody says, oh, I see what you said. I never saw that before, but I saw it today. They're not talking about this. They're talking about they had an understanding, an awakening in themselves and from themselves. And anything that you experience through the heart that is manifested knowledge, right? Manifested knowledge then begins to emanate out into a different frequency than up here. Because the heart is connected to the collective heart of all things. So we often think we can't feel good about things unless things out here match what we want to feel like. But metaphysics says being a spiritual person first is that you see it done, you visualize it, you do all this, no matter what the eyes see. You must see things differently. That is our place in where we've attained in metaphysics. Okay, the first thing that we learned, and I don't know, I've used it, boy, did I use it yesterday. I had a weird test I won't go into, but it was not comfortable. And I thought, oh my God, something said, practice what you preach, brother. Really did. It was a very painful test. And I said, what? I teach it. You said you teach heart-focused breathing, do it. So boy, did I put that into practice yesterday. So I'm finding almost every day, more than one time, there's an opportunity for me to go back and change things by using these techniques of breathing. So the first one that we learned is the heart-focused breathing. Is a very effective technique to take charge out of stress, to take the charge, the sting out of it. That's where we lose. That's where we become reactive versus proactive. Is at that point. If we have too high a charge, we get knocked out consciously. Think about that. Have you ever got into a situation with someone or something, and you reacted in some way that you wouldn't have done really, or you said what you knew you shouldn't have said? If you could rethink it or live it, you would do it differently. And you're wondering, why did I say that? How did I do that? Because you were knocked out unconsciously, and you went into survival mode, into the fight and flight thing. Either you're going to fight them or you're going to run. Mm-hmm. And the heart knows how to bring you back out of that fight and flight mode and bring you into a place in which you can stay conscious. And if you can stay conscious, then you know you have a conscious choice to make. If you're conscious, there are possibilities. There are choices that you can choose from to bring the outcome. But if you're on reactive all the time and closed down consciously, and you're on autonomic system, is when we lose the conscious connection with the path toward our awakenment and our enlightenment. Heart-focused breathing. Focus your attention in the area of your heart. Okay? Now, a lot of us did this by just touching it. Some of you don't maybe need to do that, but kind of where I'm feeling right now is where I want to go to. This is telling me, this is drawing my attention to this part of my body. So you can do that. Or if you're a good visualizer, you can just visualizing your heart, your heartbeat. So let's do this. Let's focus our attention in the area of the heart. And allow and imagine your breath and let it flow in and out of your heart and chest area a little slower and deeper than usual. So we're going to use their step of breathing in to the count of 5 and exhaling on the count of 5. Breathe in 5. Exhale 5. Just breathe in slower and deeply. See your heart in your mind's eye with its 2 chambers beating and bringing life into your physical body. Feel grateful for your heart, all the work that it does night and day. Whatever we do or choose to do, awake or asleep, the heart just keeps pumping so that we can have physical life. And imagine your breath passing in and out through your heart. So if you're starting to breathe on the stomach, bring it up to the chest, and your chest should be coming up if you're breathing correctly. Remember that using this technique is a simple technique that helps to turn down the volume of stress. And the reason is because as you focus on the heart and less on the brain does not receive all of these strong hormones as cortisol that puts us into a stress state. Do one more set of breathing, and then I'll invite you to open your eyes and return. Good. Next thing we talked about was coherence. And coherence is just another step in heart-focused breathing. These are not separate, so much as they are all coming from the same intent. So the goal of coherence is to understand the concept of coherence and how it relates to resilience and performance. Let's remember there are times in our lives when we've experienced periods of being in sync and flowing with a sense of ease through whatever challenges have come our way. When we are in the coherent flow, things that come up just don't seem to get under our skin. We are firing on all cylinders. That is what coherence is about. The heart, mind, emotions, and body are all in sync. When this happens, we are able to take charge through the power of choice. Course in Miracles says, choose again. There's always another option. This says to think of energy as water in a bucket. If there are holes in the bucket allowing water to leak out, you have to know where they are before patching them. It makes sense to plug the biggest holes first. I just thought that's kind of interesting. So coherence, it is the feeling that creates coherence. Think up here, but feel is here. So let's do the coherent. This is called a quick coherence technique. Again, just revisit your heart focused to take the sting out of the stress so you don't tip over into unconsciousness and go to reactive mode. That's what heart breathing does. If you don't do the heart breathing and the charge is really huge, I mean, you're really upset, somebody has really pushed your buttons, somebody has cut you off or something out on the freeway or something like that, and you totally don't bring down the charge, you can react in really stupid ways and say stupid things. You can use language you never used before. There's all kinds of things that can happen. So let's take it a step a little bit further. We're going to add to the heart focused breathing. We're going to draw in the feeling called inner ease. Now, you have in you the ability to do this because of the teachings you've been under, many of you, for a lot of years and decades, some of you. And I'm speaking of new thought principles. I'm talking about unity principles, science of mind principles, metaphysical principles, wisdom school principles, all these kind of things that we've been exposed to, so many of us for a long time. We have taken in a lot for spirit to work with. So, draw in a feeling of inner ease. Breathe in an attitude of calm and balance. You can also breathe in a feeling of gratitude or compassion or whatever feeling you find most soothing. So we'll do the heart focused, and this time we will add the attitude of calm balance. Now to do that, you're almost going to have to draw it up from somewhere at a time that you were sitting on a beach watching the waves come in and out, or you were going through a beautiful part of the forest and you came onto a nice waterfall and a stream or something like that. That's in you somewhere. You've had those experiences, and it's time for you to draw on those experiences. And while you were having those experiences, you felt calm. You weren't worried. You weren't upset. And then I want you to do your best. Later, we're going to learn how to anchor that a little bit more in us. Okay, so you got it. We're going to do the heart focused, and then what we're going to add to that is finding an attitude of calm and balance with it. Okay. We hope you're joining us out there that is with us online too, wherever you are. Bring our attention to our heart area. And bring our breath into the heart area, the chest. Counting 4. Inhale and 4. Exhale. And just do that a couple of times. Now breathe into that breath an attitude of calm and balance. Find some place in your memory that makes you feel calm. Place in which every part of you comes together and you experience your own at-one-ment. And from there, breathe in, count of 4, and exhale. I'm sorry, 5. Count 4. I think 4 is what I said. So 4, whatever. And exhale 4. Do it a couple of more times. Be still and know I am God. The heart's wisdom is that all that you have is in this moment. Your past regrets and future concerns are only the illusions of your mind. And when you've done your exhale, you may come back and open your eyes. Before we get off of this, let me share a little benefits of coherence. It plugs energy leaks, and energy leaks to me are just where we lose a lot of emotions that take a lot of energy and depletes our energy source. That's the way I want to say it. In other words, if I hold on to anger or some of those lower emotions, human emotions, if I hold on them too long, to hold on to them takes energy to hold on to them. So if you learn resilience and don't hold on to them long, don't beat yourself up because you're going to have them, because they're going to show up most likely, and unless you have really perfected the art of being a total, whole spiritual being 24/7, that you're going to find those things to happen. But if you keep financing it with energy and holding on to it, do you realize people are still financing something that happened 40, 50 years ago in their life? And they're wondering why I can't manifest? Because you have no extra energy to manifest. Because you deplete that energy to manifest on financing some old thing that happened to you that you're still angry about or upset about. And that's the whole idea of the idea that you can be reborn. Don't throw that out, the idea of being born again. There's nothing wrong with being reborn without the baggage, being reborn without the karma, being reborn without all the old regrets and how stupid I was, and I should have chose differently, and I shouldn't have gotten that marriage, and I shouldn't have gotten that relationship. Man, time you go through that, you've just spent a lot of energy you could have used to manifest prosperity, blessing, or whatever it is in your life. So this helps to plug up those energy leaks. Builds resistance capacity for faster recovery. If people use this, I think even things like having surgeries and whatever, injuries or any kind of physical can come back so much faster if they would use that energy and bring it into the present for the purpose of healing. It optimizes our performance. You know, we can always be better. Whatever we do, there is no ceiling. There's no limit of reaching it. Even people who do energy work and whatever, they're always looking for something new. You know, they learned Reiki and then they learned Tai Chi and they learn this and they learn that, and they keep going into things because we keep constantly working toward our performance to optimize it. Helps increase capacity to charge reactions and all kinds of wonderful things that does. All right. We learned inner ease. Inner ease. Inner ease is heart-focused breathing, drawing in a feeling of inner ease, which we have done, and now you want to practice anchoring it and maintaining the feeling. And this is why techniques like this must be practiced. You know, you can't go to your piano teacher and say, teach me to play the piano, and the only time I'm going to learn is while you're here. That's, you know, the hard part is you got to practice. And Mom's going to tell you, have you done your practice? No. So you have to practice the presence, so to speak. So the more that you practice this heart-focused, drawing in a feeling of inner ease and learning to maintain it, then we can go to the next level, which is to hold it as a new fundamental. A new fundamental. You see, a lot of people said, I get angry because, you know, I come from a family of angry people. You know, we Irish, we Italians, we this, we that, that's what we do. See, people buy into that kind of identity with their culture, their race. And we justify that in ourselves. Or we justify it because, you know, my mom was that way and her mom was that way, so I guess I'm that way, and I see my daughter that way. And we just keep passing it on and financing this thing from generation to generation. That's why generation work is so important, because it kind of says the buck stops here. It will not be passed on. I choose to be that generation who will not walk as my forefathers and mothers did. So, the state of ease is a highly regenerative state that helps us flow more easily through challenges, builds our resilience capacity. Inner ease is not a sleepy-headed state or merely a state of relaxation. It's a balance between the mind and emotions, which allows us to access a sense of inner stillness while on the move. Imagine a tornado going and a hurricane going, and all of a sudden you find yourself in the eye. And you just decide, I'm going to stay in the eye. I'm going to follow this thing down the coast, but I'm going to stay in the eye. Because in the eye, there's stillness. I'm in the hurricane, but I'm not of the hurricane. So we all need to not buy in that we cannot change certain attributes that we've inherited, whether it be through the DNA, through the religion, through the culture, through a particular race, or a gender. There are certain things that we learn that form us into an image of what that means, when actually we were created in the image of our Creator. But then we become what they want us and tell us that we are. So the inner ease technique, wow, time gets by. Focus your attention on the air of the heart. Imagine your breath is flowing in and out, slower, just like before. With each breath, draw on a feeling of inner ease to balance. Set a meaningful intent to anchor the feeling of inner ease as you engage in your projects, challenges, and daily interactions. So it's kind of a way of using, and that's why I think we have two parts of the brain. I think that you can actually do your left brain stuff but not lose consciousness of access to the right brain at the same time. That's called being whole brain. There's a lot of techniques, I don't know if they're still around, but they were called whole brain techniques for that reason. So let me say that again. So I need to go about daily things. We all do, right? Going to the grocery store, cleaning the house, whatever it is. But this is saying at the same time you can train yourself to always stay in the back of your mind that you have access to another part of yourself, that if something comes up, you can immediately, instantly go there and experience the resilience in the situation that you're in. You see, if anger just kind of goes through as a kind of thought and it's feeling and it goes through, that's fine. But if you hold on to it and invest into it, you will eventually build its own synapses, its own brain cell that will become normal. So whatever you're building will become what is normal for you to go to. If you're building the fact that you can instantly come back to peace in the time of some anxiety or fear or whatever. And that's what it means, you can be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. So again, it all boils down to this famous saying, being in the world, not of the world. Be in what you need to do in your human outer world, but don't lose your connection to who you truly are. Because as you go through all these different emotions, people making you angry at the grocery store or whatever, all of that does not change who you are, truly are. That does not make you or break you from who you are. And that's why you are the I, even in the midst of the challenge and the storm. You are the I am. It doesn't matter what's going on. I am, I am, I am. No matter what's going on, where I am, I am, I am. And that's the I of the storm. And when the I is made single, then the whole body is full of light. Okay, let's add this into here, the inner ease technique. Focus your attention in the area of the heart. And imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart and chest area. Breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. Inhale 5 seconds. Exhale 5 seconds. Or whatever rhythm is comfortable. You don't have to be worrying about counting numbers. And now with your heart open, with each breath, draw in a feeling of calm and balance. And now bring into the breathing exercise a feeling of inner ease, and allow your mental and emotional energy to balance. If you choose to think peace, feel peace. From the brain, if you choose to think love, let your heart take that thought and let you feel God's love, not the human version, but divine unconditional love. If you would let your mind think health, let the heart take that thought that I am whole, I am healthy, and turn it into a feeling. A feeling of no illness, no disease, no sickness, no limitation. And try to stay with that feeling for just a little while as you anchor it in as a main feeling you're now bringing into your consciousness that you will have access to at any time. I am whole. My cells are regenerating. My telomeres are stopping to chip off my DNA. I am whole. I am healthy. I focus on the new cells regenerating rather than the old cells that are destroyed. We're just going to call this also the next step, which is freeze frame. And from here, while you're in this state, I want you now to think of something differently. I want you to think and bring into your mind's eye a situation you're dealing with, a challenge, an issue. Just acknowledge the problem. Just acknowledge it. And notice as you acknowledge it what attitude or feeling you have about it. And once you have it, return back to your heart-focused breathing. And as you do, make a sincere attempt to experience a regenerative feeling, such as appreciation or care for someone or something in your life. And allow from the store of your information for the Holy Spirit to bring you to your remembrance that all things work together for the good of them that love God. How many times have you said you believe that there are no accidents or coincidences? Don't allow yourself to be knocked out consciously from those principles. Holy Spirit, to remind you my life is unfolding as it is to unfold with all the opportunities to grow, mature, and to awaken to my authentic self. And now quietly observe any subtle changes that you might have in the perception that you had when you first drew in the situation or person and how that made you feel. Is there a shift in how you feel by remembering divine principle? This is the miracle of consciousness. A shift from fear to love, from lack to abundance, from the warrings of our mind to the peace that passes understanding, from the depression and discouragement and the thought of failure to the idea that I'm all that God created me to be in this moment. Breathe one more time, one more cycle, and when you're ready, you can return back into the room. All right. I really feel I want to go off on my own now on this subject. I don't want to stop the complete subject because there was a lot I wanted to teach, but I tried for Tim to stay, within the lessons, and I did pretty good for me to do that. But there's just times I really feel Spirit wants to go off into deeper. And one thing that I think I'd like to talk about is the idea of community from the heart. And I do think that's what's getting ready to being offered here to us, and I hope that you will really consider. I know it's a commitment to give your Saturday to these, but I think they're very important times for us to come together and to really do some building. It's just not enough people for us to see each other a couple of hours on Sunday and a little bit on Wednesday without a space in which we can truly build relationship. Relationships have to be built. I'm sure there's people that's come here in the last few years and probably before that really thought, man, this is what I've been looking for. This is the very place I've been looking for, because they had a perception of it that they wanted it to fit their perception. And when it didn't, then this wasn't the place for them. And I think that if we want to be a strong community, we have to be an intimate community in the sense of having this space once in a while for us not to have so much an agenda of a service, but to just be there in a circle and be able to meet each other in a more intimate. So I hope that you will come and be a part of Saturday. I'm going to be here. Definitely I want to be a part of it. And I think we'll grow. We need to grow this way before we grow this way. See what I'm saying? It's not about getting more people, filling up more chairs. It's about taking those who are here and teach us to grow. The other shall be added to us. It shall be added unto you. But seek my kingdom first. Any questions or anything anybody wants to share before we dismiss? I hope that you will use these techniques. And the more you do, I think the more that you will find them more and more beneficial. And if you do these techniques and find that they work, it's going to change everything from your stress levels to your hormonal levels to things that's going to make you healthier. It's not just finding the right supplement and the right doctor that deals with alternative things. That's great, but the real work is in ourselves. It's in ourselves that we live too stressed lives, which is not making us well people, to be constantly in a state of stress. So use this to take the charge out of those things, to become resilient with these issues in your life, and you're going to see everything else becoming more healthy. Mainly because it's got the energy to do it. Because if all of our energy is going toward all the negative stuff, and we keep financing it. And I say that to all, because we all kind of do that, I think, on some level. But let us leave the 6 weeks of these teachings with something we can really use in our life every day, whether before we jump to the next subject. Okay? Yes?
I do have something to say about it. What I find with me, and I don't know if anybody else has this problem or not, but I'm so used to being reactive, I find it fairly difficult to remember to do this rather than be reactive.
Well, what it takes is a mental commitment to, I'm going to, every day, I'm going to go through these techniques. And at some point, it'll become something you'll want to do. And it'll be something more you're going to, you got to change the brain to it. It's called neuroplasticity, you know. But you can actually retrain the brain from what is your old norm to a new norm. And that's what these will do. So just make sure. And here's another thing. You that are close and around each other, remind each other, ask each other. If you talk to somebody or email them, oh, have you used your heart focus today? Did you have any situation in which you was able to use it? That's what community work really is. It's supporting each other. It's reminding each other. It's coming to a place where we could be so close and have such unconditional love that we even could do mirroring of each other. Did you hear what you just said? I'm not judging you, but I wanted you, did you just hear what you just said? And they go, no, I didn't know I said that. Well, thank you. Instead of, how dare you be trying to tell me, you know, that's going to be, reaction is that. But being proactive is, thank you. I didn't know I said it that way. It was one of my recordings that went off in me, and I need to change that in the maybe unconscious, subconscious level at some point.
Okay. For me, can we hear that? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, for me, well, I took the 6-month class at Unity of Charlotte, so that changed my life then. But I find myself just even, so I'm up in my desk, and to walk down to the room where we process orders. Just in that short amount of time, I can either choose to take that walk and be stressed about everything I have to do, or I can choose to take that walk and heart focus, breathe. And by the time I get to the room where we do the orders, I'm relaxed and ready to deal. So it's just that's simple if you just remember to.
And aren't you glad, Barbara?
Well, no, you know what? I know the stress level that's going on right now, and this man sings most of the time.
Our whistles.
Our whistles, yeah. And I thought, that's where you get control over. When you can put the stress aside to sit and sing or whistle, you know, and I know it's there, but it's not, he's not letting it have him.
What a good point. Do a little song, hum a little song,
Yeah.
whistle, something like that. That'll break the pattern,
Yes,
right there.
it does.
Good point. Thank you.
And that's the trick, to break the pattern, break the consciousness.
You see, he uses that
knocked
trip.
out consciously.
He uses that trip from that upstairs office to down there to do something. So standing in a line you can't help, what an opportunity right then to do these exercises. There's always, the universe always gives us places that we have opportunities to practice divine presence and divine presence. Yes, that's a big one. Especially when they put me in those rooms and leave me. And there's no magazine, no book, and I'm just sitting there.
Yeah.
But I've learned, you know, I do some exercises, and I've learned to use it. So use the time that you're given in that way.
The person behind you will remind you that the light changed.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Oh, yes, they do.
Good point.
Just say thank you and move on. Don't lose your peace.
Right, right. All right. Thank you so much for your faithfulness and support to keep this class going. And if anybody's still with us online, we want to thank you for joining us also. So Saturday is the community building with Michael and Mary Brown. And I hope we have a nice turnout. I believe he's invited some from Unity. I think that's so. So, okay, we may have some visitors here too, which would be really nice to see where we could kind of connect and come together with other communities in some way. I think there's a lot of ego stuff going on sometimes about being protective of our groups and all of that, and we should not be that at all. We should all find a common place that we can come together and be even stronger together. So thank you so much. Have a great day, and appreciate it.